Morning, everyone. I decided to go live this morning to just to do this as a live update. It's going to be a normal update. I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions. This morning we do have the Fed talking this morning, so at the end of this, whoops, what is going on with TradingView? There we go. So let me get into the intro and everything, and after this we'll talk about the Fed minutes and everything else. I appreciate anybody tuning in this morning, as I don't normally do this as a live update in the morning, but I decided to do it this morning. So good morning, 9:19 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Friday, August 25th, 2023. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Devin, Donald, John, Sashir, thank you so much for tuning in for this update. So XRP, what we're looking at this morning, as we're up 0.02%. We had a nice liquidity flush last night in the overnight hours, and XRP was able to garner some liquidity here. Let me pull up my all-time chart. It seems to have deleted it. Colin, welcome in. Mario, good morning. How have we been misled? It's the basic environment. Were you not misled on that breakdown last night when it looked like we were about to break down? Now all of a sudden we're pushing 52 cents again. It's all within the wording, and it's all within what I say on each daily day. That's how you've been misled. Early bird gets the worm indeed. But no, it's more than that, Colin. It's more than that. I'm just not in I'm in a more serious tone today because of some of the people who decided to disrupt my live yesterday morning. Everybody who was in the live last night knows that I was in a much more serious tone. I do like to joke around a lot, but I don't appreciate when people don't show me the respect I deserve. So I do things in a different tone. But yes, that is what's going on there with the with I believe we're being misled. But we've got a lot to talk about this morning. Remember, this morning, start with positivity over negativity. We're an inclusive environment here. We don't play the victim, we play the winner. So if we're going to be inclusive and we're all going to do this together, we've got to do it together. We can't pretend. Christian, ultra dump, you're thinking? We'll see. We'll see. But let's break this down very quickly this morning. Are we going to take off soon? That's what we're trying to decide, if in the short term we need to validate. The problem is still, let me bring up my other chart. The problem is still, once this loads, everything's real slow. The problem is still, we're still below in the all-time pattern. We're still below this downtrending resistance in the pattern formation at about 54 cents. That's what continues to hold us back. In the 4-hour time frame, we're getting beaten down by the 20-day, but it looks like we've created a W reversal here. So this could be the start of a reversal in the daily time frame. In the daily, we're trying to get back above the 524 area roughly and try to validate this breakdown on the death, where we're about to have a death cross here. So for me, it still behooves me, in my opinion, not to come up here and get a retest rejection somewhere around here. We're about to have the 50 come through the 100. We're still trying to be supported on the daily. So it looks like to me, we would need to come back up and get that rejection. So are we going to take off soon? Well, if we want to take off, first up, we would have to get back over this 54 cents and then ultimately get back topside of here. And that's about 597 we'd have to get on the top. And then on the 4-hour time frame to start turning this pattern on its, back to the bullish side, you'd have to get over the 200-day right around 594. If we continue to look at this in the 30-minute time frame, we're starting to get over the 20-day. We're starting to have these little spikes here. But now in order to reverse this narrative, we've got to get over the 522 level in the immediate short term. And if you're looking for a rally, that 522 hold, that could get you up to this 542. But then we look firmly at the all-time, or the short-term pattern instead of the all-time pattern. And this gives us a much better idea of what we're looking at this morning. Because in the immediate short term, XRP, it's not that it's falling off right now. It's just that we're in the midst of a consolidation. We've got to come back up here where the falling wedge broke down. And that's just a bear flag setup. So I can delete that so it doesn't confuse anybody. But that was like, is it tricking us? It's designed as a bear flag, but a bull flag disguised within. And then if you look at the breakdown here, and we're trying to get back up first layer 524. That's just above the 200-day resistance, but that's a pivot level here now. Then our first level, we've got this falling wedge resistance now that's going to be firm at this 54 cent area. Right above it is the pattern formation at 543. Once you clear that, I know it's major resistance right now, but once you clear that, I think we're just going to have an overshot up here. I really do. I feel we need to have an overshot. Now, it doesn't need to happen. Wow, 33 people watching this with me this morning. Thank you so much. I know it's bright and early. Make sure to hit that like button. This will get pushed farther out on the YouTube, through the analytics. But this is just going to be released as a normal update this morning. I just wanted anybody who was available this morning, if they wanted to watch me live. I don't know why. Instead of going to do an update, I clicked live on accident. So here we are where we are. And then I set it up as a live, so I would give myself like 10 minutes. So that's what I'm looking for. Any comments in the comments? Do you think we're coming up here to retest this area? Good morning, Jason. John, does the fundamentals or news help you with your predictions? John, yes. The technical analysis aligned with the news helps me get my helps me make a prediction on the charts. I put a lot of stock into the technical analysis, but I'm also putting stock in what would be news today. Well, I'm glad you asked. Wall Street awaits key speech from Federal Chair Powell. So what we're covering today, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is set to deliver a speech Friday morning at Economic Summit in Jackson Hole. When he speaks at the last event last year, the Dow sank by 1,000 points and the S&P fell 3% after Powell warned that pain was ahead for U.S. households. So last year at this time when he did this, we dropped 1,000 points in the Dow. Investors have good reason to watch this year's speech even more closely than this time around. U.S. stocks futures were slightly higher Friday morning. Dow futures were up 108 points or 0.32%. S&P 500 futures were up 0.27%. NASDAQ futures were up 0.13%. Wall Street is slightly higher as investors await Fed speech. U.S. stocks were higher Friday. A key speech from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Investors will listen closely for clues about the future of interest rate hikes, but worry that economically painful hikes will stay in place for longer than they originally anticipated. Boston Fed President Suzanne Collins told Yahoo Finance on Thursday it is extremely likely the central bank will need to hold interest rates high to bring down inflation. I think it's extremely likely that we will need to hold interest rates at current levels for a substantial amount of time, Collins said, but exactly where the peak is, I would not signal right at this point. We may be near a peak, but we may need an increase a bit further up. So Jackson Hole Fed policies collide with reality in the most unequal county in America. So central bank officials from across the world have descended upon Jackson Hole, Wyoming this week. So the central banks are in town, folks, and this is where we had a huge collapse last year, to discuss policy decisions that will shape the economy for years to come. But as they talk about inflation and the economy in the abstract, residents of the popular vacation destination are very much feeling the realities of their policies. That's because Jackson Hole is the most economically unequal place in the United States, according to economic. I don't care about all that nonsense. I just wanted you to see what's going on at Jackson Hole today. So don't expect fireworks from Jerome Powell this time around. So at last year's Jackson Hole Summit, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell delivered a fiery 8-minute speech that stunned markets into submission and led to an almost 15% correction in the S&P 500. Powell won't be repeating those fireworks this time around. Analysts say not only are markets more closely aligned with the Fed head, but inflation is in a much better place. I beg to differ. That is a bunch of FUD. Still, we don't recall a Jackson Hole speech so hotly awaited, said Chris Rupke, chief economist at FWD Bonds. It is a miracle that the economy is standing after $5 gasoline prices and the Fed's rapid rate hikes last year, he wrote in commentary issued Thursday. They didn't raise it far enough. So we are, that's what we're awaiting right now. Could Fed Chair Powell's Jackson Hole speech send stocks plunging? When Federal Reserve Chair spoke last time, we know it went down 1,000 points. Are we going to have a repeat? And then the Fed is not done with rate hikes, says Bullard. So the U.S. economy has not cooled down enough yet for Federal Reserve to pause its rate hike campaign, warned former Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis President James Bullard in an interview Tuesday. Citing the summer slew of strong economic reports, Bullard told Bloomberg this reacceleration could put upward pressure on inflation, yada, yada, yada. So that's what's going on this morning if you're trying to get caught up with what's going on with Jerome Powell. So We're waiting the Fed speech this morning. So that's what we're anticipating this morning. So right now, is the market getting ready for a further move up? Or is Powell about to drop the hammer here? The US dollar was below 104. Good morning. Good morning, White Tiger. Thank you so much, Cameron, for that. I appreciate you so much. Jason, good morning. So as we theorize, if the markets, we're going to continue to be very, very critical here in crypto, at least. If we're going to get a further push down. Kyle, welcome in from Massachusetts, Cape Cod Kyle. David, good morning. JS, there is no good news. Just drop the hammer, Powell. Yeah, that's what it appears to be like. And the US dollar, we first started up almost at 104.30 this morning, about 5 a.m. Then it came down to 103.96. So are we getting a bearish confirmation here finally with the dollar? We won't know until the start at the end of this candle in about an hour and 30 minutes. Mark, welcome in. Wow, I didn't think anybody was going to find me this morning because I was just going to do a quick update here. So I appreciate everybody. 47 people tuning in on the morning update now. Thank you all so much. What effect will occur from Saudi Arabia joining BRICS? With the inclusion of the six new nation, or the six new additions to BRICS yesterday, we're gonna have a new in time. It's not gonna happen overnight. This won't happen overnight, but they're coming together to create a new currency. They talked about it a lot yesterday. It's not, they're emptying the garbage next door. But they're gonna create a new currency, it sounds like. And you've got 48% of the population joined BRICS yesterday, of the world's population. I think it was like 46 or 48%. So it's going to be a very, very, very detrimental thing to the U.S. They very much pulled punches last night, and they talked about how they were universally against the USA, and how Vladimir Putin specifically talked about on, what was it, Tuesday, Vladimir Putin specifically talked about how we were using sanctions. You can't do it. So I believe it's got a big impact. And I talked about before it happened, if Saudi Arabia was officially announced, because it was the rumor leading into the BRICS, that's your funding right there. They've got so much money to back this whole thing in gold, it's over. They're the ones who have single-handedly guaranteed nations that if they buy petro, they will reimburse their native currency for gold. So turn in your US dollars, turn in your native currencies. They've also adopted the ruble, it looks like, as well. So what do I think about the Lions? Overhyped. In my entire lifetime, the Lions have only won one playoff game. So everybody calling for a Super Bowl, I'll bet the opposite all day and twice on Sunday. I'm not even convinced we're going to make the playoffs. Let that sit in your pipe. Hey, Tom, just got in now. How are you? I'm doing good, Paul. Paul, yeah, don't worry, everybody. My normal live will be at 7:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is kind of just an additional, I just went live to do the information because I had a lot to talk about. So the DXY, as we can see, 103.666 on a retracement down here would be expected if it comes back down. We already broke through this previous candle low, the past two. So this looks like we're trying to gain a little bit of support here. And we got to try to see if this cup and handle formation, this V-shaped recovery, is for real. So that's what we're looking at for the DXY. You would expect something probably like that if you're going to pull out, but you know, you can't guarantee anything. With Powell speaking today, we don't know what's going to happen. Barry Sanders was a legend. No, that was not before my time, Kyle. That was actually during my childhood. I was born in 1983. I got to watch Barry Sanders in his prime while I was in high school. It was a very nice time to be alive. It's the best memories I have as a Lions fan. I remember Scott Mitchell as our quarterback. Well, I wasn't necessarily in diapers when Barry Sanders started. Well, when he started, I was. But by the time he finished, I was old enough to know what I was seeing. Gold and silver under some pressure. B2 gold up to 313 now this morning. We bought at 294 2 weeks ago. Bitcoin, after a quick bounce down like we talked about, is this a recovery or is this looking for further rejection? We came down, and ironically with Bitcoin, you can clearly see it now with this double bottom at 23,596. Now, if we got a liquidity hold, and that's considered the neckline of this. You've got the neckline down here. and we didn't crack it. So if we came down there to grab some liquidity, Barry's is indeed the GOAT. I'll go back into XRP, I promise. Yes, we already covered it for about, what, 10 minutes to start. But we're definitely going back into XRP. I'm just swinging around the market real quick. An opportunity I have because I'm live. So we talked about the retest here yesterday morning when we were talking about the BRICS and the live. We were down here about 25,800 area. And we talked about the retest at 26,193, 194 area. That's where we're at right now. If we hold that, I think we're going to be moving up if we can get back above here, because we're going to have a death cross here in Bitcoin. So we're going to want to confirm this around that 27,200 level normally. Now, if Powell completely flips the markets upside down, do I expect this retest? Not in that scenario. If he says something that spooks the market, then obviously we can come down right away. Anything aside from that, I still anticipate a move for XRP to retest where we have this bearish cross through the 50. Now it looks like we're about to come through the 100. I still anticipate a move up here for rejection before we get a rejection and a further move down to the 2020 uptrend if it's coming. If Powell spooks the markets, that's why in the title of this video I said, are we going to 57 or are we going down to the 2020 uptrend? If he spooks us and we get a big sell candle, you absolutely could find your way down at the 2020 uptrend faster than I'm anticipating without a rejection up here. But he would have to spook the markets this morning. And the 2020 uptrend on the all-time pattern here now, as you can see, well, you can't see anything until it loads. But as you can see, if we get a rejection up here at 543, that is how you make yourself, force yourself down without retesting that area. Or if we get rejected at the 200-day here, that is how we stop ourselves short. That's about 525 right now. Hey usually does not have a good news, does he? No, he does not. No, he does not. Carp, love your TA. Helps me so much. My friend, stay safe. Stay safe as well, Carp. I appreciate that. Gianni, good morning. Carp, they disrespect you, Tom, because they aren't on your level. I agree with that. But that's why we use positivity over negativity. We can push through. We can push through. So, in conclusion here this morning, a few more minutes here, but what I want you to conclude by this morning live, this morning update, I should say, because I don't even consider this a live. I consider this 525 level incredibly important right now, followed by the resistance at 54.2 roughly, because I think we're trending up towards this level to retest this area. As we've talked about, we don't know if we're going to continue consolidating sideways and have a meeting point right around 54.5 cents roughly, or 54.3, or if we're going to come up here to 57 cents. If we come up there, I theorize we wouldn't stop there and we go closer to the 60 cent mark, possibly on an overrun. We have a bull flag set up here, and we have not broke down this previous cycle. We have not taken down the pivot level at 503. So for me, it behooves us not to come back down, come back up, I think, to that 56.8 or 57 cent level. But with Jerome Powell speaking today, if we get a rejection in the 30-minute, I'm telling you, this could be very bearish as well, even though I still think we could be lining up bullish with that little liquidity sweep last night to try to get a retest in the daily. That's not guaranteed, especially with Powell speaking today. This is where it could all come unglued. Unless he is completely dovish this morning, I don't see any other way the market can really bounce way up unless Powell comes on and says something that's really dovish. I just don't anticipate that. Federal speech. His speech is at 10:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 10:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Jerome Powell will be speaking. So, roughly 27 minutes, Jerome Powell will be speaking. So, in conclusion, I want to release this update so you can see what's happening before his speech. Watch XRP. Our first level we're watching in the 30-minute time frame is around the 522. If we can get back on top of the 200-day, which we're attempting to right now, we should be able to first layer move up to this 542. And then I am closely watching, assuming we don't get the breakdown real quick to the 2020 uptrend, I am closely watching this area where we've had this bearish cross, get a rejection here around this 57 cent level, and then come back down. If it is bearish, come through the 200, and then that's how we could come to the 2020 uptrend if it's bearish. If not, we'll continue working past the short-term time frame. We'll continue pushing through the 20-day up here, and then ultimately we'll find ourselves on top of it and try to push up over the 200-day and the 4-hour time frame. In order to reverse this pattern, we've got to get above 60 cents. We've got to get above 60 cents and start pushing. I know it looks bearish, but it is set up in a bull flag, ironically, even though it looked like a bear flag drop. And as long as we can hold this support, not crack the pivot level that's right below us, which I have on here, it's the red line going through. 49 cents is the ultimate support, but we have a pivot level around 503, which will load up promptly if it wants to. Trading views being awfully slow this morning. That's our pivot line, 503. So as long as we maintain that, we should be trending up to that 57 cent mark before going farther down. If you see us lose that, I don't think the 49 cents is real support. I mean, it is the pattern formation, but it's going to be very tough to hold. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. If you got anything out of this, please make sure to hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel and joining the over 18,200 subscribers. I will see you live in a very short amount of time to watch the Jerome Powell speech, so I'll catch you guys shortly. Make sure you hit that like button. Positivity over negativity. I appreciate each and every one of you. We are winners here. We're not the victim. We're on the same level with each and every one of us, which means we have to be unified. We don't take the BS. We try to be factual around here. So take the information you've learned. Don't make an emotional decision. And I'll see you during the Jerome Powell speech in approximately 45 minutes.